Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brain Bean here again, and it's that time of the year where we look at the top gaming chairs of 2021. Now, if you've followed my channel for a while, you know that I do these every year, and I have reviewed a lot of chairs. If you don't know who I am or you haven't seen some of my chair videos, between going to conferences like CES or E3, or having now over almost 50 different types of makes, models, and just variety of gaming chairs come through my studio, I've seen a lot. And while at first glance it does seem like a lot of gaming chairs are basically the same with different branding slapped on them, and that is kind of true for a lot of the more generic racing style chairs, none of the chairs that you see in today's video are going to be anywhere near that. They're all different, unique, have their own reason for making it on this list. And instead of doing your typical top 5 where I'm just going to rank them, these are all chairs that get my stamp of approval for various price points and use cases. And so with that, let's go ahead and just dive right in. So the first chair on this list is the Corsair TC60. Now, Corsair's T3 Rush that I reviewed last year wasn't impressive to me in any way, and it definitely felt like kind of the generic rebrand that we've talked about on chairs. The TC60 though is definitely its own thing. I like that it's got very comfortable ergonomics. The way the seat kind of tapers off at the end is one of the better waterfall designs that I've seen with chairs. And likewise, the backrest is contoured really nicely to have this natural curvature to your back. You don't get a head pillow with it, but it does have kind of a puffed out headrest built into the seat, which I like. The only real drawbacks to the TC60 are that because it is a less expensive chair at about 270 bucks, there's a lot of plastic on it. So the seat base, armrests, stuff like that, definitely feel a little bit cheaper than the more premium stuff on this list. But I think the trade-off you get in terms of overall comfort for that $270 price point is actually pretty good. And while almost 300 bucks seems pretty expensive, when you look at the higher end stuff in the gaming chair market, it's not that bad. Overall, I do think the upholstery on the TC60 is kind of interesting. It's like that sort of soft kind of cloth material that you find in a lot of cars. I kind of compare it like, you know, normal racing style chairs try to be like those premium like racing seats, and then the TC60 is like the Honda Civic seat on like an upgraded Honda, if you will. So in terms of overall comfort, TC60 is pretty darn good for the price, although I do recommend it because of that narrow seat base. For people under like 5'8" and maybe 150 pounds, the weight isn't as big of an issue because it does have a relaxed fit, but the height is going to be an issue for people with longer legs. So keep that in mind. Definitely good for kids and people that are shorter, and for that price point, not too bad. But I do think if you want to spend a little bit more money, you'll get something a little bit higher quality and should last you longer as we get into the list. Next up, we're going to talk about the Mavix M9. Now, this is an expensive chair. So we're going from the very low end on the TC60 all the way up to the most expensive one on this list at $1,000 with some optional upgrades, which can bring it up even higher. It's got the option to have like some heating and cooling and massaging stuff built into the chair. So if you really want to go fancy, when you go onto the website, you'll be able to see all that kind of stuff. And I'll have links down in the description for you if you want to check it out a little bit more. Now, the M9 for me replaces the Trigger 350 from Vertigear, which was my daily driver for almost 3 years. So needless to say, I really like what the M9 brings to the table. It's sort of an upgrade of that kind of classic mesh office chair design. And this is upgraded with nicer padding with Breeza fabric over it. So kind of like the LF Gaming Stealth, that was one of the top chairs several years back. It's got that same nice fabric to it. The seat itself brings all the nice ergonomics of a mesh chair that I like, but it has that soft, nice fabric to it that really elevates it, because sometimes those mesh chairs can almost feel like a lawn chair after a while. And while the ergonomics are pretty good, the actual finish is not always my favorite. So I feel like the M9 really brings a lot of the, you know, best of all worlds in that sense. There's a lot of adjustments, there's a lot of ways to tweak it and stuff like that. The casters are really, really good on the M9. It's actually like Razer scooter wheels. So I mean, you could like roll this thing down the street for a long time. Not that you would really need to, but it's still just little extras like that for me are what show quality in a product. The M9's not perfect though. A couple little nitpicks I have with it is that anytime you have a chair where the backrest is adjustable by picking it up, And I've seen this on again, the LF Gaming Stealth. Actually, that Corsair TC60 has a similar mechanism. And then the M9. I find that while it's super convenient for adjusting that backrest and does give you more options, it makes it kind of rattly. For whatever reason, the way that mechanism works, it's not the tightest. And so if you want something that feels a little bit more secure and doesn't have a little play rocking back and forth in it, might not like that as much. But I do think, for me, recommending the Trigger 350 all these years from Vertigear, and now that that's not being offered, the Mavix M9 is definitely the best next step up from that. And if you remember, I actually preferred the Trigger 350 over the Herman Miller Aeron, which I used for several years at my job before working on YouTube. So definitely gets my stamp of approval on the M9, although it is pretty darn expensive. Next up, we've got the Razer Anki X. Now, I do feel like I was maybe a little bit overly harsh on this in my initial review. And as I tested out more chairs and kind of went through my massive backlog in the garage of stuff that I have and was sitting in different chairs, I feel like the Anki X is one that I kept coming back to and being more surprised with the more I used it after comparing it to other stuff. Now, at the $299 price point, I do recommend, like I said in that original review, the Enki X 100 times over the regular Enki. I don't think $100 is enough to warrant the regular Enki stuff that it brings to the table. I think if you're gonna go with the $399 regular Enki, then you need to just go with like the Secret Lab Titan Evo, which we're gonna talk about here in just a little bit. But if you wanna stick around the $300 price point, and you're, like I said in the original review, somebody who's not terribly tall, I think you can go up to maybe 5'10" in the Enki. I'm 6 feet tall, and I find it right on the edge of being just a little bit too narrow on the seat base, although nowhere near as narrow as the TC60. What really impresses me about the Enki X is the different hardnesses of the foam in the seat base versus the back, and then that natural contour of the backrest on the Enki is by far one of the best that I've ever tried in a chair. There's just something about it when you sit into it, you really slide in, and it kind of fits your body like a glove almost, which for whatever reason, it didn't stick out to me as much in the times that I was using it before, probably because I was only comparing it to one other chair, and as I put it in a lineup to narrow down what I was gonna put in this video, it became more and more apparent that that is a real standout feature that the Enki has. Now, there's still some drawbacks with the Enki X because you do lose a lot of features, no pillow, no ability to lock the rocking mechanism. It's a little bit more stripped down, but if you wanna stay around the $300 mark, I recommend the Enki X hands down over just about anything else. And last but certainly not least, we've got the Secret Lab Titan Evo. Now, this is like the 4th year running that I've put Secret Lab's chairs in the very top of all of my lists. And really the reason for that is bang for your buck is just unparalleled with them. I've always said that I feel like the area of diminishing returns for gaming chairs is about the $500 mark, because as you add more money, the benefits and features and comfort and stuff like that kind of starts to fall off for the amount of money that you spend. And I think the Titan Evo is the perfect example of this. You know, if we look at $300 to $400 for like that Enki or Enki X, or you know, stuff from Vertigear, a lot of these other manufacturers all kind of fall around that mark. There's all these little compromises, and Secret Lab's Titan Evo, you know, I've done a full-length review on it, so if you want to see that down in the description, I'll have that listed for you, or you can click up in the top right of this video as it pops up. There's just so much going on here that's improved upon the original Secret Lab Titan's design. Now it's available in 3 different sizes. You've got 37 different finishes, from stuff like Minecraft to Game of Thrones to Batman. I mean, they have all the good licenses, so if you like aesthetic stuff, you've got options there. They've got it in Napa leather. They've got 8 different finishes of soft weave fabrics. And then just stuff like their adjustable lumbar system, the ability to have the magnetic armrest to swap out with those cooling soft gel ones is super nice. Magnetic head pillow, and just the components and the quality of the build of the chairs is what stands out the most for me. Even in unpackaging it, everything is individually bagged, everything is foam packed, and then even something like the Mavix M9, when I was putting that together, a lot of those components were just literally thrown into the box, open to the world. And that chair costs twice as much as the Titan Evo does. So, you know, when you see stuff like that, your initial impression of it is maybe not quite as good, whereas Secret Lab has definitely got that down. Plus, they've also got a 5-year warranty on their chairs, which is like twice what most companies have as like their standard warranty. And they've also got a 50-day return policy, so you can always pick one up, give it a try, and see if it's for you without having to feel like you're risking too much. In terms of downsides for Secret Labs chairs, I don't really have all that much for what you're paying. I do think, again, for gaming chairs, they're not going to be for everybody. And I've always said, if you're somebody that has lumbar issues or really would benefit from a more orthopedic style kind of ergonomic office chair, then definitely look more towards brands like Herman Miller and stuff like that, to where you're really going to get the most out of the money you're spending. I think there's definitely a certain target market for gaming chairs. But with all that considered, the Secret Lab Titan Evo definitely gets my #1 recommendation, hands down, again this year. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Just wanted to run down some of the best options for you if you're looking at getting a gaming chair as a gift for the holiday season, or spending your own Christmas money, or whatever you wanted to do. Now is the time with sales coming up and stuff like that. So I'll have links to all these chairs that I recommend down in the description for you if you want to pick one of those up, as well as full-length reviews on the chairs that I currently have available, as well as I plan on doing the full-length reviews on that Mavix M9 and TC60 here shortly. So if you're watching this a bit later, those may be there for you as well. But as always, guys, let me know in the comments down below which one of these chairs is your favorite, and stay safe out there, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next one.